Yes, go roll down. So today in our mini masterclass, and if you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the comments. I do have time today for any questions, so feel free to put those in the comments as we go along. So yeah, hopefully this is not going to be more than like 15 or 20 minutes. So today we're going to talk about the fact that I didn't think it was possible to close a pay in full client without DMs or sales calls. And I didn't also think it was possible to make sales without people binging my daily content. And just to give you a little bit of context, I'm new to the coaching space. I'm not new to what I do. So in 2020, I started getting into the digital infopreneur space. And then I started off with courses. I had a very extremely successful course that some of you may be in, Followers to Sales. And then last year was when I felt like the Lord called me into the coaching space. And I think, Christine, if you are still on, you were actually one of my first like quote unquote coaching like clients as I did my single sessions. Cause I was like, Lord, I understand like fundamentally the principles of business, but I don't really understand the coaching space. And the coaching space is a lot different than selling a digital course. So selling a digital course is similar to selling a product, but of course, obviously it's not physical. You're not doing the shipping. There's less risk, da, 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 da. But when you're coaching, that's a different thing because now someone is not just investing in the transformation that you provide. They're also investing in you. Can they trust you? Can you actually lead them and guide them to where it is that they're going, right? Because like if you just package all your information into a course, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty straightforward. Like, hey, this is, what I do. This is how I help. And then at that point, it just really comes down to whether they like your teaching style and your brand or whatever the case is. But with coaching, you are asking someone to come inside of your life and like you're peeling back the curtains. So there's a lot of trust there. And so I didn't really necessarily understand the coaching space. And I was like, okay, Lord, if you're calling me to this, then you're going to have to show me what this looks like. Oh my gosh, Christine, thank you. And so I started to look at what the industry was saying. And so if some of you don't know this, I do have a background in marketing and psychology. So that is where I've got my degree from. So marketing and business principles aren't new to me. The coaching space in general was new. So I just started to look around and see what were people doing, what were the tactics, what were the strategies, what were the methods that people had in order to grow their coaching brand, right? Because some coaches literally just coach and some still also had courses. So again, it's this hodgepodge, but they're different. Like being a course creator and being a coach are two different things in the same space of like infopreneurship. So a lot of the conversation was around cold DMs. So, and I'm also too speaking from a lot of experience. Like this is the things that I did, which is why I was just like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work out. But in the beginning, it was sending out cold DMs. And so there were tools like mass DMs where you could literally just have like these bots send out a bunch of mass DMs. They could send out like 10,000 DMs. And then essentially if someone was interested, they would come back and talk to you about whatever the case that you're offering at that time. It could just be reaching out and doing cold DMs to your targeted audience. Or it could be creating a strategy that gets people on your calendar. And then that opens you up to having, okay, well, you need appointment setters, people that are just keeping your books busy, or you need people that can actually close as well. And then the DMs became the same things, DM setters and DM closers. So I do not deny that any of that stuff works. Obviously they do. But the question is, did it work for me? And is that what I wanted to do? Did I want to do cold DMs and outreach and build a team to close a product or offer? No, that was not something that I was interested in. And did I want to do sales calls and sell my high ticket packages and no, I didn't want to do that either. I don't mind having conversations in the DMs and getting on like coffee chats when it really is just no pressure, there's no intention of trying to sell. It's just like human to human, let's have a conversation. Those come into my world and I'll show you what I mean by that when I break down the marketing strategy, where now people are like, hey, can I just get on a chat with you? And then I get on a chat with people And I end up, they end up hiring me for their services. And that was never my intention, because I could just meet you where you're at as a person. And if I was a good fit for you, great. And if I wasn't, then I always say, maybe I can point you in the right direction. And then the other side of it was, and there's different strategies and different tactics, but these were the ones that I kind of was like looking at what the people that were leading the industry were doing. Then the other one was creating a lot of daily content, creating a lot of bingeable content so that people come into your YouTube channel or your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever the case is, and they just binge your content and they become a customer or client. That requires you to create content daily, to show up daily, because you need the compound effect of creating this consistent, cohesive message that then is going to, depending on where you're doing this, because if you're on Instagram and you're on TikTok, you're on YouTube, then the algorithm can go and spread out and bring you top of funnel clients. You have all the bingeable middle of funnel content, and then whatever your sales process is. It doesn't work as easily in Facebook or Facebook groups, just because of the nature of like how the content is able to have a reach and awareness and impressions to bring people in, but it still was the same concept. Neither of these worked for me, because I've already been in a place where I had built a 7-figure business and experienced such burnout because it required too much of me to show up to keep the business running. So I was like, I can't imagine, in order, and I'm speaking from a place of where I want to go. Like, I want to have $1 million months. I want to have the exponential wealth that is called for my, sphere of influence and my inheritance, but I don't want to do it with where I was at, especially with my product being from $1,000 to $2,500, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get on 20 sales calls a day and hoping that a percentage of that will close so that I can start to meet these goals and scale and da-da-da-da. So like, I was just like, I don't think that's the vibe for me. I also didn't want to show up and do a lot of daily content. You've probably heard me talk about this before, where I don't really like a lot of consumption. So the last thing I wanted to do was put out a bunch of junk content and just, feed post, like just put stuff on the feed that isn't necessarily relevant to what it is that I actually want to say. So neither of these strategies worked for me, which is when I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to need to find a better way. Or not even just a better way, but honestly, a better way for me. So this is kind of like a little story. This was like back in 2020. And I literally was like in my room. I think I was watching some Korean drama. And at the time, I used to have my Stripe notifications send me text messages or send me Slack messages whenever I made a sale. And so I just remember laying there and I saw like a $1,500 sale notification come up on Stripe. And I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, is that a fluke? And so I literally threw my phone across the room, because I knew it had been a byproduct of the funnel that I had been creating. And I was like, wait a second. Are you serious? Like, this is crazy. And so when I jumped to my computer, I went to go investigate, and I was like, okay. So I had made one post and I was just getting started. So I did not have the current audience that I have now. I had a big audience, but they were from a different like business and version of me. So when I started this new business, I wanted to start from scratch. So I borrowed other people's audience. So I made one post in a group. Someone opted into the funnel. And then 2 days later, she signed up and she paid in full. And I had never heard of her. I'd never talked to her. She had never met me. And so I had actually messaged her and I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much for joining. I always try to have like some really fun welcome sequence, especially when people spend a lot of money with me, just to make them feel like, hey, I don't think this, like, I see you made this investment in me. I want you to know that I recognize you as a human, not just a sale. So she was like, yeah, she was like, I just literally watched like 30 minutes of your masterclass. And she was like, I was done. I was like, she's like, I didn't need to see more. I was already in. And I was like, okay. That's why I'm like, is this too good to be true? Because, I was talking to a sister in Christ and I was just like, we hear a lot of these phrases and they sound so cliche and corny, but I was like, until you actually experience it, it's true. Like when you can make money in your sleep, when you can make a sale on autopilot, like it actually is a real thing. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, because like I said before, I thought I needed to have sales calls. I needed to have DMs. She at least needed to talk to me at one point, like, am I a real person? Like, she doesn't even know like if I was a real person. So I was like, I was thinking like, don't you have to talk to someone? And then again, I wasn't showing up necessarily daily in the stories. I just literally got started in this space. And also didn't have to necessarily do a 12-week like live launch, because that was another thing that seemed very arduous, especially being one person. Oh my gosh, how am I going to literally do all of that just to make sales? And what if it doesn't work? So I was just like, wow, okay, this is a real thing. So I want to break down a little bit, and you've seen my little fun graphic here that I love to use. And let me get my annotation really quick from Zoom, which by the way, guys, I just realized for the first time that you can co-annotate with someone else. And I was on one of my coaching calls and I was annotating and then she annotated back and I was like, wait, what? That's so cool. So this was a huge shift for me because I was trying to find the strategy that worked best for me, not necessarily what the market says. And I know that sometimes that can be hard for people because I do have a business background, so I can understand principally what someone is saying. So my biggest advice that I want to give you right now is learn the principles of marketing and sales. Because most of the time you do not have a sales problem, you actually have a marketing problem. And so what ends up happening is that we're jumping around from strategy to strategy, thinking that this strategy is going to work for us, when it really is, you need to understand the principles behind marketing and sales. Now, if a strategy does work for you, more than likely it's because you know how to follow directions, you know how to ask for feedback. But until you actually have the awareness of, hey, this is marketing, hey, this is sales, then you're going to be chasing strategies, wondering how to get to that place where you have sustainability in your cash flow so that you can actually build a business that you can live off of and that you're not now like your own version of, a prisoner, basically. So keep that in mind, because when you learn the principles of marketing and sales, then you can pick a strategy that works best for you. So because I knew that, I was like, all right, we're not going to be cold DMing people all day, and I'm not going to be on sales calls as a means to achieve the income levels that I would like to get to. And I'm not going to be able to show up every day because honestly, some days I'm not inspired. And during the time that I discovered all of this, and some of you already know this, is when I actually came out of the hospital from mental burnout. So I literally did not have the capacity to physically do this anyways. So for 3 months, I sat and learned how to do a funnel, learned how to do all the stuff, and then put one together as quick as possible to get it running so that I could actually have a peaceful business while I was in the healing phase. So for most people, 2020 was very devastating and very hard, but it actually was a really good time for me because I was able to go inside my cocoon, do all the healing, but also not quench the entrepreneurial drive that I had. Right. But of course I have to focus on myself, but I built that funnel. And it was the most passive way that year that I was able to make money without having to show up, because I was still on a lot of medication, and that medication had me asleep for, honestly, some days was like 20 hours a day. So I literally didn't have it in me to show up to make content daily or to be inspired to create something that actually was going to be worthwhile of someone's time. So because I had that machine running in the back end, when I did have the energy to show up, you guys can probably see from like the very, very old videos in this Facebook group where I could actually share my expertise and gifts and skills and which ultimately compounded to where I am today, to be able to show up like that today. So most of the time you don't have a sales problem, you actually have a marketing problem. So a lot of us don't understand that marketing is supposed to do 90% of the sale for us, okay? And the sales is actually just the process that you decide to close your person. So let's just break down really quick what marketing is, okay? So let me just look at my notes really quick. Okay, so I'm going to break down what marketing is, what sales are. I'm going to show it to you from the context of 2 different strategies, and that way, and then I'm going to show you how I did it inside the funnel. So marketing basically is taking someone from their point A to their point B, whatever that desire is. It doesn't have to be this big grandiose change. So if I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to help you turn one follower into a paying customer, great. If I'm going to help you get your first autopilot sale, that's just something you're like, oh, I just want to be able to do that because I'm tired of showing up all the time and being the reason why my business is running because I can't ever take a break. So getting someone from point A to point B, okay? But in the middle are these roadblocks, these false beliefs, these objections, these things that they think are in the way that get them to their desired destination. So your job, okay, is to articulate that message, to say, hey, I know you're here, I know you want to get here, but in the way are all these things. Here's how I actually solve it to get you to here, to get you to here. That's marketing. And then the sales process is just whatever you've decided, whether it be giving them a Stripe link, sending them to the link in the bio. If it is a sales call, so if it's a sales call or if it's a DM, then on your sales call and DMs, you're not really necessarily going through this entire process again because they've literally already been sold. If you haven't done this, that's essentially why you end up on sales calls and you're trying to now take them through the where are you at, where have you been, what have you tried, who are the people inside of your world that you have to be with you to make a decision. That's okay, because like I said, that this still works. But you want it to get to the point where you're on a sales call where they're just like, hey, look, I'm just here. You've talked about all of this. You've talked about all these ways. Like I just have a few questions. Because at this point, by the time they get on a sales call or they're in the DM, they're already sold. But if you haven't done this and you've been taught to do sales calls or DMs, that's why, or tell them to click the link in the bio and nobody buys. That's why you're feeling like, why isn't this working? Why am I not making sales? I need to make more sales. I need to make more sales. It's not the sales problem. It's the marketing problem. It's helping them understand why you're the answer that's going to get them to their point B. That's actually what it is that you need to articulate, because that's why when people say sales are easy, that's why sales are easy, because by the time they get to the link in bio, they're already sold. They just pay. And it just comes down to something like timing. Timing is something that you cannot control, which is why you never take the sales personally when you know you've done your job here, is because someone could literally have just bought something a day before and they're like, oh, I got to focus on that first. I'm going to come back around, right? But then do you forget about them? Do you stop marketing? Do you stop nurturing? No, you're supposed to keep going because the timing is nothing that you can control. Or it's like, hey, I'm not ready just yet. Okay, so just I'm going to pin that there to keep that in mind and I'm going to show you how we combat timing inside of the sales funnel. Okay, so it's about discovering marketing. And that's why I was saying when I started this, learn the principles behind marketing and sales so that you can pick a strategy that works best for you. This is another reason why people say, I don't know why my content isn't working, right? Because maybe a lot of your content is very heavily focused on the sales portion, just sale, without providing the understanding, right? It's not necessarily, oh, I need to give value, I need to give how-to tips, It's to articulate this very simple point, taking them from point A to point B, overcoming the objections and the false beliefs that you're the answer to get them to where they need to be. That's how the marketing works. And then there are strategies in which you can execute and articulate this concept. Okay, so I hope that's really, and let me know if that makes sense in the comments, whether you're live or watching this as a replay, and hopefully that's helping you now to understand I need to actually know the principle of marketing and sales so that then I can actually grow my business, because a business is a system. The business is a machine that's run by systems. Marketing and sales are just systems to run the machine. But if you don't know how they work, which then they're powered by strategies, then you're kind of like spinning your wheels, wondering why this isn't working. Okay. So I'm going to clear this here. I'm going to clear this, and now I'm going to show you how the marketing and the sales are now applied to do two different strategies. So on the left, we have the organic content, and on the right, we have the funnels. Okay. So this area right here is all of your marketing. Okay. And this right here is where the sales happen, where you actually close the sales and make the transition. In a funnel, your marketing is normally here. Okay. And it also includes this too as well. And then your sales happen here. Okay. So most of the time it's, again, showing up daily, creating all of this bingeable content. If I'm doing it on Instagram, hopefully some of my posts trend and make it to the explore page, right? Because I want to bring people into this funnel, right? And how you bring people into this funnel is you have to have that top of funnel content that brings brand awareness. And you can't, like I said, really do that too well on Facebook just because of the way the algorithm is. So I'm hoping I have a piece of content that goes viral, that brings people in, they see my profile, that I'm posting every day. I'm showing up on stories every day. And then I'm hoping that it leads to whatever your sales modality is, a sales call, a link in the bio, or a DM conversation, or whatever you decide for your, way of closing sales. That's a lot. That can be a lot. And that's still good, because if you look at some of my past trainings, I do talk about how you need content. I do talk about how this is important. It serves a specific purpose. But again, this was a lot for me to get to the place where I'm making sales, because how do I actually know, am I doing this correctly? Right? How do I actually know, am I making the post correctly? And again, most of us are not necessarily doing it correctly, because it's not about just making content and showing up every day. It's about actually having that content strategy to execute the marketing, like I talked about, right? From point A to point B, helping them overcome the stuff in the middle, with you being the answer. Your content strategy actually needs to say that. And again, there's various different strategies. Do I want to create reels every day? Do I want to do carousels? How do I create Instagram content? It's actually, how do I create a marketing strategy? And I'm expressing it through my these tips and these how-to things. And maybe you're making a post and you're wondering why things aren't connecting. If your strategy does not cover this, this is why this makes it difficult. And that also applies to the funnels. If my strategy in my funnel isn't covering this conversation here about marketing, then my funnel will fall short. Now, for me, I decided to choose a funnel because I didn't have the bandwidth every day to do this and to check it and to make it and to see that it works. Whereas in a funnel, I could create this one time, and then I could use the data in this funnel, because there's a data touch point at every piece to show me what is not working in regards to my marketing messaging. So I could take that marketing messaging and apply it to my content. Because if I do content, I have to wait, 7 days, 30 days, and then I have to go through my analytics. I have to check and see what posts work, which one didn't, which is really relative and really hard, because sometimes sales posts get 0 engagement, but are the ones that make you sales. And then the ones that have a lot of engagement maybe aren't the things that make you sales. So it was very hard to do it this way first. So, sorry, I thought I heard something. So I usually start here to make sure, hey, is my marketing message good? And then I can take that back and actually pull up that are converting, and then put that into my content. And again, I'm not going to go too deep on how these are connected, because I talk about that in the other trainings. You can just watch that in the group, or you can just leave a comment and I can give you the masterclass that has all the trainings. But if I take this message that I've created inside my funnel and I use it in my Instagram content, instead of sending them here, if they're not ready to buy, I can send them right back into the funnel and continue to create this web of nurturing, this web of staying top of mind. And this is also how, if you ever feel like, man, I keep feeling like I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again, how do I talk about my offer without feeling like I'm over it, right? Well, we know that it requires repetition. It requires you showing up every day saying the same thing, but you're not literally saying the same thing. You're just talking about the same thing, but you're talking about it from different angles that help them understand that you are the answer to their problem. Okay. So when I realized this, I said to myself, okay, funnels are a better way, because I can make this one time. I can optimize my messaging, know exactly what needs to be said here for my marketing messaging. And then I should be able to ideally convert them without getting on a sales call, without being in the DMs, as a means to do that. Right. And so we see here with the automation, if I use Instagram as my traffic source, they opt in, they're moving through each stage of the funnel. They consume the content, the email nurture is continuing to guide them along. And this is also too what we consider the lead generation phase. And we can also consider this the customer acquisition phase. Because most of the time what happens with funnels, the biggest mistake I see people make is that they don't connect the two. They do the lead magnet stuff, but then they don't connect it to their actual sales process. And so in this case, I made a quick sales page. I had the abandoned cart sequence, and then I had the order page, and then I had the thank you page. So I'm going to still use this. Okay, so we started here at point A. I want to get them to the point B of like, hey, I'm going to solve your problem in the offer. So in between this lead magnet, I'm solving all of those objections. I'm crushing all of those false beliefs. I'm shifting their perspective. I'm helping them understand I can get them to where they need to be. Then they're like, okay, I'm pretty interested. They come into the sales page. The sales page reinforces the A to B. But then if they're like, you know what, I'm not sure, because you've now moved me through the levels of awareness, right? There's, we're going to start with problem aware. There's problem aware, there's solution aware, right? So here they're problem aware, here they're solution aware, here they're product aware, and then here they're most aware. So they're like, okay, I still need a little bit of understanding. Guess what? Instead of you chasing them down in DMs, chasing them down on sales calls, your abandoned cart sequence are going to cover the objections now that they have about you being the answer and your product being the answer, right? And so when you nail of trying to figure that out in multiple posts, you can literally use the email data to tell you what messaging actually resonates. They move to the order page, they become a customer, and that is essentially how this works on autopilot. So when I shared that story about the person coming into my offer, and she was like, yeah, I just like literally watched your masterclass for 30 minutes and that was enough that I needed to hear in order to then, boop, she jumped all the way to the sales page, to the order page, didn't even have to go to the abandoned cart sequence, and did the thank you page. But the beautiful part about this is that this marketing message is reiterated here and here and here and here over and over again in one sequence, just like I would do that in multiple pieces of content here. Now, the beautiful part about this funnel, which is just really just gets me like, just, oh my gosh, I love this, is that with Instagram, you have to rely on someone to come to your profile every day and show up and look at all of these pieces of content and hope that they're not distracted by all the other things that you see, which is then hence, how do you quote unquote make that bingeable content so that they don't leave your page? In order for them to get the full perspective of this marketing message, they need to consume multiple pieces of content. Now, you can have multiple levels of awareness in one piece of content, but them through the different levels of awareness. Inside of a funnel, because you've taken them off platform, you're now encountering them in a whole different world where their focus is very much on you, because there's minimal distractions when they're here. You keep bringing them back to the content to watch. Even now, your Instagram content keeps bringing them back to this minimal focus so that you can move them through this journey, right? And don't even get me started on the retargeting that you could do with ads to continue to bring them along this continuous marketing journey. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. Let me know in the comments, and you can go and again watch some of the past trainings that I start to really break down the different angles and elements of how these kind of work together, as well as funnels within themselves. But it really is such a beautiful strategy for executing the principle behind marketing and sales. And again, you have to discern which one is best for you. So for me, I personally like to start with creating the funnel first, because I can do this one time. I can use the data to optimize my marketing messaging to get them closer and faster to a sale. Then I can take a lot of that information and recreate it inside of my Instagram post, so that maybe the Instagram is its own organic funnel while I'm still funneling them in here. But at the end of the day, I've kept them in this web so that I constantly stay top of mind. And so I want to address what I talked about earlier with timing. So with timing, you just never know when somebody's ready. There's so many different things and variables that affect when they're ready to purchase that have nothing to do with you. But if you have a constant flow of people inside of your funnel, then every day, essentially, the goal is that someone should get to the point, because you've kept them in this web of nurturing, that they're ready to buy. That's what we mean about sales timing and how you can actually use automated funnels to combat that. Because if you're only relying on organic content or them on the sales call or you following up, you never know when someone's ready to buy. And because of that, if you don't stay top of mind, then they're going to go and buy with whoever else is top of mind. So if you don't create this web, and that's why I say these two play together, then that's what they call, quote unquote, leaving money on the table, because you spent all that time solving their problem, nurturing them, telling them. But if you don't have a way to continue to stay that connection, so that when they are ready to buy, they choose you, then they go off to whoever else, your competitor, or wherever else they look for, because they don't remember you. And that's when they end up buying with somebody else with all the work that you've done. Now, I'm going to just add this tiny little caveat. Obviously, those of you that know that when you build a brand and you take up real estate in someone's mind, that's not going to be an issue, because you're always going to be top of mind as you continue to create this web and nurture them. So yes, I'm hoping you see now how it is possible to not have to do DMs, not have to do sales calls, not have to have bingeable content, and still make these sales without people ever having to talk to you. Hey, cousin. Okay, so ClickFunnels is, yep, just a tool, just an application. I do like ClickFunnels okay, so let me just say this. ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson is really great at marketing. So he has taken a tool and has created a culture around it, right? Like the Funnel Hacker Live, the 2 Comma Club Award, all those things, but it literally is just a tool to execute the means of this sales page. So in terms of functionality, it's great, but they do have some things that aren't necessarily the best. Like their email nurture sequence is extremely limited. You have no sort of like tagging and optimization with the email marketing. And so what I mean by that is that, let's say you have one funnel right here. It's literally just for one offer, but let's say you have 3 offers. So you will have 3 different funnels, right? And so when, let's say this is like your entry level offer, okay, let's say this is your mid and this is your like high ticket, right? And you want to move people through your offer suite. So when someone is done with this funnel, you can have specific tagging. So you're like, hey, this person completed this, but they did not purchase. Then you can put them into this mid-ticket funnel, or you can put them back into something else to get them to purchase. You can't do that with ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels will get you started to get you to where you need to be if you want to build a funnel. But there are a lot of tools that already do the same thing that ClickFunnels does, that allows you for expansion once you have a funnel working, to actually build out a whole entire ecosystem, automated ecosystem and structure for your business. So I do have a tool that I like to use, which is it's almost the exact same structure as a ClickFunnels setup. It's called Sapa, and it's only $111 a month, and they include all of this sort of expansive marketing so that you're not boxed into one thing. And then it can also host your course too as well, because a lot of the issues that people have is that they start to notice like, okay, well, I need a landing page, I need ClickFunnels, then I have to buy an email sequence or email service provider, and MailChimp is free up to only 2,000 contacts, and then it gets super expensive, and then ClickFunnels is 97, and then it gets super expensive. And then you're like, okay, well, I also need to host my course or my information somewhere. So then you got Thinkific and Kajabi, and then those are expensive. So you're already in like $400 or $500. Whereas this system includes everything all in one. And then they do have live customer support. And it's only $111 a month. So if you want it, I'll just post a link in the comments. That's a great question. Yeah, I like Funnelytics. Funnelytics is great. Let me see what I'm doing right here. Funnelytics is great too. And I mean, honestly, when it comes down to the tech part isn't important. It's the actual strategy itself. So that's another thing that I talk about. Let me actually close my notes really quick. Okay, hold on. Let me find it really quick. That's another thing that I talk about. Yeah, I'm going to give you a link to, cousin, that gives you 30 days free. So you can just try it. And if you don't like it, then obviously you can cancel. So that's helpful. So the tech actually isn't the hard part. The hard part is everything that we just talked about right now, which is the strategy. And then you can easily piece together the tech. The tech is easy. You can do, Thrive Card. There's all kinds of Go High Level Funnel. Funnel Gorgeous has their FG funnels. There's all kinds of different things. It's not that. So don't get stuck on the actual tech itself. because it doesn't matter. If you can have the upsells, the downsells, the abandoned cart, that's great. But if you don't have the strategy to actually make that tech work, then it's irrelevant. Okay. So again, focus on the principles behind marketing and sales and the strategy behind it. And what I'm going to do in some of the other trainings, I have just a list of trainings that I want to do. So I'm trying my best to make the time for it. But I was just saying that I was super grateful to the Lord today, because I was like, I have so many ideas that my brain is brimming. But one of the trainings that I will have coming up I will be talking about some of the common mistakes that people make inside of their funnel. I'll actually go into a lot of the funnel details and why each piece is where it is to be that reflection of the marketing and sales component, and where a lot of people make mistakes and don't get it right. So that'll be something that I do have coming up. I apologize that I don't have a schedule right now. It really is just on a whim whenever I have the time around my coaching clients. So yeah, that's going to be one of the trainings that I talk about. We're going to deep dive into the funnel. So let's just recap. I know I said a lot here. So this may be something that you want to go back and watch the replay. I'm going to pin it in the group. And then I'm also going to put it on YouTube so that you can watch it there. Key component is to just make sure you learn the principles of marketing and sales. I build a lot of marketing and sales into the funnels that I design, so that when you go in, you can just swap out the information and you're already kind of achieving that objective. But I want you to have an understanding why you're actually doing that, because when you learn the principle of marketing and sales, then you're going to be able to take any strategy and just crush it, because you're like, I know exactly what they're talking about when they say move someone through the levels of customer awareness, or this needs to be solution aware messaging, like you're going to know that. Then from there, you can actually pick a strategy that works for you. If you like getting on sales call, you want to build a sales team, then that's fantastic. If you're like, I don't want to do that, I also don't really want to rely on content, then funnels are an amazing option. Again, I say they both go hand in hand, funnels and organic content, especially for those of you who have built your business off of organic content. Then I always say, okay, well, if you've done that, then you've done the hard part. You've done the legwork already of the marketing and sales. Take all of that, duplicate it into a funnel, and put some fuel to your fire for your income, because now the funnel is going to do what you did, but in a shorter amount of time. So yes, hopefully this now is making sense to you. So whether you're watching the live or the replay, just let me know that if this is clicking. Okay. So if you already know, it's funnel season, it's funnel building season. It's the season that the Lord has called me back to. So my goal is to help as many kingdom coaches as possible sell their offers on autopilot. And I want you to be able to bring in an extra 10K hands-off monthly revenue, whether that's your goal or not. That is just the mission that the Lord has me in. And so right now I am taking a bunch of people through this process. So it's exciting, and I can't wait to see what they look like on the other side. So if you want to add fire to your organic content strategy, right, that doesn't require more of your time, because you spend a lot of time either doing daily content and showing up, or your business has been built on live launches, then you definitely want to start to add a funnel. Especially too, if you have other offers, like I talked about how with funnels, you can create multiple funnels for different offers and move people through your offer suite on autopilot, right? So if you have offers that are collecting dust because you sell live all the time and you can't show up and sell like the 10 things that you have, then funnels are going to be super helpful. And then if you want to hit your next income level, funnels are going to be the logic that helps you hit those income levels, because you can literally read your data while still being creative and showing up with your content, so that you're actually being able to pull out the duality of, how you think, right? Logic and creativity at the same time. The beautiful part about it is that funnels, especially when you have one that's profitable and working, will take the pressure off of you for your monthly cash flow. Okay. So if you decide you want to go on vacation, you don't feel like showing up, and you literally like, I don't care, I don't want to post, I don't want to like, then you know that you have the machine running in the back end to keep your business growing. So it doesn't mean you don't show up for your business. There's just a difference that when you have to actually show up to be the one to bring in sales, and you don't have that luxury to take a step back, or else when you do, your income begins to dip. So if that is you, then let's talk about building funnels. So there's 3 ways that we can work together right now. Either you can have it done for you. So that's application only. I think I have 1 spot left for that, where I will build the funnel for you. So everything that we talk about, I will the strategy, all the things, the marketing, the messaging, I go through that with you. I create that with you with the messaging you already have. Then I actually build the funnel for you with your branding, your unique perspective, your unique take, your unique experience. So no funnel is going to be the same as anyone else. And then I work with you until we get the funnel to be profitable. So that's how the done for you works. And so that's perfect if you want to be hands off. Do it yourself is where everything I talked about today and the funnels that I use, I have pre-built funnels, and they're not just templates where you just like plug them in and you're like, okay, let me swap out the information. They're actually already all connected. The tags are in there. You just change out the tags for yourself. It's already connected to all the emails. The lead is connected to the sales. All of those things are connected. So that's when I said mean pre-built funnel. Then you plug in the branding yourself. It does come with a complete step-by-step walkthrough on how to set it up, as well as how to actually create the marketing and sales strategy that I talked about. And then when it comes to the tech side of things, they have live customer support. It's 24/7. You can get on Zoom, so it's not going to be like super difficult. So if you're trying to piece together a bunch of tech and you have to call like Thinkific and ClickFunnels and and wait for it all to connect, you don't have to do that because it's all going to be in one place. So that's perfect for you if you know how to use use funnels. You just don't want to actually have to do the tech. You maybe want some second eyes on how to actually do the marketing. And you want a funnel where you can sell an offer up to $3,000 without DMs or sales calls or ads to start. So like if you once you get your funnel profitable, I always recommend doing ads, but I don't teach that, but I recommend that as the next step. And then lastly, we have done with you. I have 2 spots left for done with you, and that's one-on-one step-by-step coaching. So same thing as done for you, except for I'm coaching you through your strategy and I'm coaching you how to, that is a total spelling error right there. I'm coaching you how to fix this really quick. Current tech. And then I'm teaching you how to build the funnel yourself with the strategy as well. And so I'm just kind of holding like with you hand by hand how to do it. And either you can use my pre-built templates, or if you already have like your own current tech setup, then we can go in and make that work. And that's perfect if you actually want to learn how this works and be one-on-one or done for you isn't a good fit and you want to be guided as you build your own funnel. So yes, cousin, just hit me up, let me know. I'm of course happy to help you. And yeah, whatever one you decide to do, just drop a comment and then I'll give you more information. Done for you and done with you are application only. So we're just making sure that I can actually help you and it's a good fit. And then do it yourself is instant access. You can literally, when you sign up, you'll get instant access and you can get building right away. I think one of our members in here, she literally built it within like 3 days because it was just so easy to set up. So yes, that's it. Thank you guys so much for your time, this random impromptu live. As I mentioned before, I'm going to keep coming back live to just break down some of these different concepts to help you understand the power of funnels. And then I'm going to start getting into some of the nitty gritty and the details of each step of the funnel to kind of help you understand how they work and maybe some of the common mistakes that I see so that you can avoid them and start to get a funnel that's actually profitable for you. And I'm also thinking about doing funnel audits. So if that's something that you are interested in, then I'm happy to, I was thinking about doing like Funnel Friday audit. So if that's something that you do want, then leave me a comment and then I'll reach out to you and then we can talk about going live and doing some live. Okay, so happy Tuesday. Have a blessed and wonderful day. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. Thank you, Tammy. It's always a pleasure to have you in here, and I will talk to you guys soon. So take care.